Hello, today I want to show you a way of creating a nice edge on a curved pocket. So I've got an example here of the Emily dress, which has got curved pockets, which you can just about see there. I've also got curved pockets that feature on the Mary dress, which is another pattern that's available on my website. So to start with, I've got these pockets that are prepared, as in the pocket top is hemmed. So that's our starting point. I would just say before you start doing anything else, I would just check that when you fold the pocket in half, that the curve is nice and symmetrical. They're both matching nicely. You can see that there. So I've just, if it's slightly out, just trim that so that they're the same shape. That makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to show you now how to get this stitched and make it look really nice. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is do a line of stitching around the curved area. So the stitching needs to be at the highest your machine will go to, the longest stitch. So I'm going up to 5 on this machine. Starting wise, I'd start just ahead of where the curve starts to form. It doesn't have to be really specific, just somewhere above where the curve starts to shape round. And lastly, I generally use the side of the foot as a good gauge as to where this line of stitching goes. But basically you want to be within the seam allowance. So the seam allowance on this dress is 1.5. So I really want the stitch line to come in roughly a centimetre. So I'm going to start about here. If you've got a machine like this that cuts the thread at the end, don't cut the thread, let it just pull it out naturally because we want these ends. So I'll show you that now. So just follow the shape of the raw edge as carefully as you can. And then just stop past the curve. Like I said, I'm not using the cutter, I'm just going to lift that and pull that out. So there you've got your ease stitches. There's no back stitching at either end either, because we're going to treat this much like gather stitches really. So we're going to take this over to the iron now and get a nice curve. Okay, so we've got the gather thread in, or the ease thread in. We just need to start to gently pull that as if we're going to gather it. You just want to choose one side of the thread, so if you're going to start from the inside, just use the inside thread, and when you get to the middle you can go to the other side, but like I said, just stick to one thread because otherwise you lock the stitches. So I'm just going to ease that one, just so that we've got a general pulling in of the edge of the pocket, and then we're going to take the iron to it and start to press the seam allowance in, which is 1.5. You can check this with a tape measure to be accurate, or you can do it by eye. When you get to the parts, if you get to parts that are a little bit too gathered, just start to tease them round so that your shape is starting to form into a nice curve. If you tried to do this without this gather stitch, you'd start to find you've got lots of little angles and jaggedy bits, but this way makes it a really nice smooth curve. So I'm just going to keep teasing that around to get a nice shape and keep pressing. You can see that shape starting to form. If there's any actual gathers, just move those along. We don't want folds. And when you've got all the way round, just turn it to the right side, have a look, and then one sort of final check before you decide is just to fold it over and see if your edges are even, which they look pretty even to me, so I'm happy with that. If they're not, just go back and you can tweak, just keep tweaking. But there you go, it's ready to set onto your garment now, and just stitch close to the edge. There we are, nicely curved pocket ready to apply to your garment. I hope you found that useful. If you'd like to see more tutorials, please subscribe to my YouTube channel.